So Pyramid Head has been out now for almost a week, and I think it's time I finally made a little video here explaining the power, explaining what I like, explaining what I don't like, and exploring a little bit about what I think needs to change with him in the future to make him a killer that's actually properly fun and there, because he's really good, this guy, and I like him a lot. And he's close. He's really, really close, but he's just not quite there yet. And I want to talk a little bit about that. Before we continue, I just want to say that in the video there will be a DLC code hidden for the brand new Silent Hill chapter, okay? It will be cut up into 4 parts and placed randomly throughout the video, so if you want to get that code, make sure you're watching the entire video and spot those hidden pieces and build up the code. Good luck to you. The power is pretty complex, but to describe it to you briefly, the power is called Rights of Judgment, and it allows you to hold down the power button and activate a trail, and you can move around and you leave behind this trail. Then when survivors walk in it, they suffer from the tormented status effect, and survivors who are downed and put into the dying state while they are tormented can be sent to a cage, which basically works as a hook, except the killer doesn't have to carry them there, so you end up saving a lot of time and not transporting people to hooks, etc. While you are in this mode, while you're putting the trail down, you have the ability to send forward a wave attack called Punishment of the Damned, and this wave attack goes through walls, it goes through pallets and windows, etc., and it allows you to hit survivors pretty much anywhere if they're nearby to you in a straight line, and it's a pretty damn strong power that when learned you can do some pretty amazing things with. And finally, the last thing with the power is called Final Judgment, and that is when you down a survivor who is on their dying hook, you can press the same button that you used to cage the survivor, and rather than caging them, you will instantly mori them and kill them and get them out of the game, again saving you extra time instead of hooking them, etc. So before I start talking about what I like and dislike, I just want to put a little disclaimer saying that these are just my initial thoughts of the killer, thoughts that actually could end up changing because this killer is still new, it's less than a week old, you get the idea. We don't know if behavior is going to change the killer, we don't know anything about that, so this is all just initial impressions that I've built up over the last 4 or 5 days. So, starting off with what I really enjoyed the power, I really, really, really love the wave attack that you can do while you are leaving behind your trail. I had a lot of fun trying to learn that, and while that attack isn't perfect, and I'll get to that later, I'm really, really, really enjoying it so far. Hitting people through walls is really satisfying. A lot of it, like, you can play it really safe and just hit people that are in animation, so like on a pallet or on a window, etc. But I was having a lot of fun trying to learn to hit people through walls blindly, and actually pulling off these hits is extremely satisfying to me. This power has enormous potential, and I like that the power is quite difficult to master from what I can see so far. It doesn't really feel like Freddy or Doctor, where you can just pick it up and you're as good as you are day one than you ever will be, you know, because Freddy is just spam traps and Doc is just spam shock. So with this, I actually felt like I had to learn and think about what I was doing, and I felt like I was getting really, really punished for being bad with him. So I would miss potentially 2 or 3 waves in a chase, and it ended up costing me the game a lot of the time because I was being really careless with it and I was just using it willy-nilly, and a lot of the time it was ending up just making me lose. And a lot of you might not like that about this guy, but I personally quite liked the challenge of trying to predict where people were, and I quite liked being punished for being bad with it. It kind of gave me more of a desire to learn him and get better with him, so I really, really enjoyed that. I also quite liked how the cages worked. Not having to carry people to hooks felt really, really good. A lot of the time, the cage spawns are really predictable as well, so I often felt myself sometimes not caging people. I made more of a conscious decision while I was caging someone thinking like, okay, so is this the perfect time to? And sometimes what I would do is, if a person was on second hook, I would sometimes just not cage them, and I would hook them anyway, and then they would stay tormented, so I could get a free Mori on them nearer the end of the game when the pressure really mattered, rather than having to try and re-torment them. I really, really liked being able to choose, okay, this time caging them will put them nowhere near a gen, because the way the cages work is they will always put the survivor in a cage that's the furthest possible point away from you as the killer, and you kind of know where that is as killer a lot of the time. That's quite predictable, so they can often work in your favor of, okay, there's no gens over there, so there can't be anyone there. I'll cage them right now. They'll go miles away, and I can get a lot of pressure because they've got to go across the other side of the map to do it. Sometimes it wasn't worth caging because the cage was going to put them right next to a gen where you know people are, and they're going to get saved immediately, so you're going to want to hook them like normal. I liked the fact that you could choose. A lot of people dislike the way the cages work like that. I'm kind of okay with it, more because it allows you to decide what you were doing, because like otherwise it would be you'd always cage people, and now it feels more of a decision of, okay, do I cage this person this time or do I wait a bit? Now, the cage system isn't perfect. In fact, it's a long way from being perfect, and there's a lot of things about it that I'm also not a really big fan of, and that I will get to as well later in the video. I want to shift the focus slightly and talk a little bit more about the things that I wasn't as big of a fan on with this killer. I was mentioning earlier about how I quite liked that I was getting punished for being bad with this killer. Now, on that subject, while I like the cooldown being long because it's punishing you for being bad, it's also kind of too punishing, I feel like, at least a little bit. It's the longest cooldown, I think, of any power for missing, except maybe Nurse, who has that stun. It's longer than every other killer in the game, and I get why, because the power goes through walls. I have a feeling that a good Pyramid Head is going to be pretty uncounterable if they have got their predictions down perfectly. That being said, I think that the cooldown could still be slightly less, and I think that because of this very important thing here, which is that at the moment I feel like faking the power is stronger than the actual power. Now, this actually might not be a cooldown issue, so you could actually leave the cooldown as is, I think. But at the moment, it is currently much, much stronger and much, much more effective if the Pyramid Head doesn't use their power ever. What I mean by this is that you can activate your trail, and then it causes the survivor to try and dodge and predict what you're going to do. And then instead of actually just launching your wave and having that big cooldown, you just cancel it, and then you can immediately melee attack like normal. Like, there is no delay at all. You immediately put it away and you can instantly swing. And I found myself getting much, much more hits because of this than actually using the wave. I had a lot of occasions where I would try and use my wave attack, and I am sitting there consciously thinking, I want to wave this guy because I get more points, but and because it's actually using the power, but if I just cancel it right now, I'm going to get a free hit. Because, well, you have to try and dodge it as Survivor, but getting into any form of animation means you get hit, obviously. So you try and dodge. But if you try and dodge, I just cancel it and I hit you. So, for example, running up to the shack window from the outside of shack, I activate my power, you have to try and fake it, otherwise you get hit. But if you fake the shack window, I just cancel it and hit you. If you run to the shack window, I don't cancel it, and I just use my wave attack. So you get hit either way. So I feel like the power is pretty uncounterable in situations like that, and I really, really think that being able to fake it and just immediately swing needs looking into quite badly, because it is really affecting the experience of playing against the killer, but not just that, playing as the killer as well. Like, I don't want to play this killer just to try and fake my attack constantly. I want to try and hit people with the proper ability. But like the ability is so punishing, and faking it is just so easy that why would you not fake it? You know, you're gonna get hit every single time pretty much. Why would you not just fake it? Now, to remedy this, like I said earlier, they could potentially slightly shorten the length of the cooldown, and then add a delay, man. Like, don't make the killer move slower, but, like, add a delay as to when you cancel your power and you can't swing straight away, because at the moment it's just so silly that he can cancel it and just immediately attack you. So I'd shorten the cooldown slightly, or, I mean, you might be able to leave it, but I would definitely add a delay into being able to swing immediately, because it is very, very strong. Something else about the wave attack that I don't like is that you can't hit over gaps at all with it. And you also can't hit down any form of incline or any staircase at all. And I really, really don't like it. I had the game map where a lot of the loops in the game map are over like drop downs, and I couldn't use my power at all because of the slightest drop down. You can't hit them. The attack just goes to the edge and then just stops. I've seen clips where people are standing like a step above the survivor, and because they're a step above the survivor, the attack won't hit because it's a slight incline. I'm not convinced that it should work on stairs, but I really wish this power could jump gaps, because the fact that you can't hit over gaps actually got quite irritating near the end. How there's so many areas where I just couldn't hit you because there was a slight gap. I was in the shack, for example, trying to hit through the back wall, but the basement had spawned there, and I couldn't hit over the basement ramp, so I just couldn't hit the guy. I had to go around a long way, and they had to go around and get the window, which wasted more time. Oh boy, it always comes down to tunneling in the end, doesn't it? Right, so the final thing that I don't like about this power, which doesn't really affect me when I play killer personally, because, well, I don't do this as killer, but this mainly affects survivor players. Oh, it's the tunneling. It is the ability to easily tunnel with this killer. No hook perks work with cages at all, and that's because, well, cages aren't hooks, so they don't work. But this creates another issue where it exposes just how bad the hook play environment is in this game right now. You down someone as Pyramid Head, you cage them, and then that's it. You kill them. You just beeline the cage straight away because the killer can see the cage, like how Pig can see sawboxes. I don't really get why either one can see them, but he can. So he just runs straight to the cage, and then because there's no borrowed time, because there's no DS, he just immediately tunnels down the survivor again and gets another free hook state on them. Or if he's got a Mori, he just gets a free kill because, you know. So it's rough right now. I don't understand why he can see the boxes, although removing the aura won't fix the issue because the boxes are incredibly predictable as to where they go, so the killer can go there anyway. I don't see how you can fix this issue without making hook perks work on these, but then every hook perk works. Your pop goes to brain cell, all of them work, so I don't know, but it's a big issue right now. The amount of tunneling that is going on with this killer is pretty insane. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I really like this killer, to be honest. There are, the things I said that I'm not a big fan of, but the majority of the power I love. I'm really, really enjoying playing this guy. I love learning the wave attack. I'm loving the caging of the people for the map pressure, etc. I'm just really enjoying it, and I think Behavior did a really nice job with this killer. Obviously, there's the stuff that's wrong, and I'm not sure how you can fix all of it, but a lot of it is quite simple to fix, so I'm hoping that these changes happen, or something along these lines happen. But either way, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like. It really helps me out with these videos, and if you're new to my YouTube, make sure to check out my live streams that happen on Twitch. I stream every single day. Either way, guys, I'll be off. Peace.